Hello everyone and welcome back to Media Update Media IH. My name is Nandini3D and I am going to be giving you a review of The Bride of Habaek or The Bride of the Water God episodes 3 and 4. Now I've got my script in this direction here, so I'm going to be facing that way for a lot of this because this is meant to be a podcast which I'm turning into videos actually. So sorry if that bothers you. But also on the blank space on the screen, you shall see pictures corresponding to the things I'm talking about. So I think it should work out, really. Okay, so first let me talk about episode number 3. It starts with Soa thinking she's going absolutely nuts because she keeps hearing water, plants, oranges, ants, literally all kinds of natural things talking to her. It's actually her conscience screaming at her because she's not actually taking care of Habaek and his assistant Namsuri. Actually, it turns out it's actually, those things are actually speaking to her. This is kind of confirmed in the 4th episode, actually, by Habaek. And that's because they're trying to urge her to help him. She also keeps running into the CEO Shin Hye, and it actually turns out that they're both from the same university. They run into each other at a university reunion, and that's actually a very humiliating experience for her for many reasons, but particularly because one of her rivals, just sort of shames her publicly over there. Her name is Shin Jaya, and she's some sort of TV personality. We've seen her before in one of the previous episodes, and the CEO actually witnesses all this and gets to know more about Soa through it. So, yeah, that was ugly, really. Also in this episode, Habaek is constantly trying to help her and save her, but he's also warning Soa that if she doesn't help him out, she's going to face more hardships and she's going to have more troubles in life. She's actually really caught between wanting to help him and his assistant and not really knowing how, because first she thinks he's absolutely crazy, right? Because he thinks he's the god, the water god, but also it would be socially quite unacceptable and perhaps even not safe for her to bring him and his assistant to her home. But she does meet with one of his requests, which is he wants to really meet Crystal's character, moo-ra. So she drives him to a hotel to meet her. moo-ra or Hera. moo-ra is the name that Habaek knows her by, and Hera is her chosen name on Earth. He recognizes her through a commercial, actually, because on Earth, moo-ra is a beautiful model or actress. So when they meet, moo-ra and Habaek, it's very unexpected for, I think, pretty much both of them. Habaek seems to be very attached to her, and she's definitely playing against him with another god who I'm assuming, who I assumed was the god of the sky. I'm still not too sure about that, actually, but it's Bi Ryum's character. And she gives him, a tight-ass slap. One of the most epic slaps I've ever seen in K-drama. And she doesn't really say much else. So that was a very unexpected for the viewers as well as Habaek, definitely. So in the end, because Habaek really wants to meet a god on Earth, she takes him to one of her friends who's a medium between, God and people and stuff, and I guess spirits and stuff. So that's the closest thing she knows to a real life god on Earth. But actually that ends in such great disappointment for Habaek. And he tells her to just kind of leave him because he knows that she will not believe that he's a god. And for some unknown reason, as she's leaving, Soa is snatched and she has a fight with some masked man who tries to drop her off a huge, the top floor of the building, literally the roof. And Habaek somehow finds his powers and rescues her. That's where this episode ends. And right at the end, just as he's caught her, a voice, I guess an omniscient voice or an omniscient, however you want to pronounce it, voice says, "It's fate." Now this makes me think that he might have unknowingly have, saved her 14 years before this storyline takes place, because the part where she jumped off the bridge and she tried to drown herself, but somehow she didn't die. Maybe that was him. We don't know. But also what it could mean is that unknowingly by saving her, he's kind of chosen her to become his wifey. Relating, of course, back to the title of the series. Okay, all in all, to be honest, I do not know what to score this episode. Maybe a 6 out of 10, because the bit where he saves her was super cool, and the scene involving Crystal was actually quite a letdown, because even though like social media is going crazy about Crystal, oh my gosh, she totally stole the whole episode. Yes, she kind of did with her presence, but the whole scene was very, very, like, such a letdown, honestly. So let's just move on to the 4th episode, right? Once again, not much happened in this episode. The story is going extremely slowly. After saving Soa from, that mighty fall, Habaek comes back to his inflated castle near that water river, I guess. And that's where we discovered that his powers have not returned permanently. It was just kind of a temporary glitch, I guess. And he doesn't have them anymore. And then Habaek and his assistant end up at Soa's apartment because she's too shaken by the trauma to drive herself home. So now they're living in the apartment. They're winning. They've been wanting this from the start. So I guess that's progress on their side. And I believe because Soa is now helping them, even though she is definitely helping them very reluctantly, good things have started happening for her. For example, like, she's able to meet the CEO Shin Hoo-ye and like sell off that land that she owns for 7 times the price it's worth. She hasn't actually sold it yet, I think. She just has the contract and she's already started celebrating. So some good things could be happening, except for the fact that I think that land should probably not be sold at all, because I think it's quite special. But we'll see what happens with that in the future. And Habaek meets with moo-ra again, and this time they do have a chat. She doesn't want to give him the stone that she protects. The real reason is still unknown to all of us, but the reason that she gives him is that he has lost his powers, so she can't really trust him to become the emperor god of all the gods if he doesn't have his powers. But that's kind of really bullshit, because she just kind of happens to find that out by accident. So for an outline, that literally covers the entirety of the 4th episode, which is over an hour long. Okay, so let me now get into my thoughts and my predictions, because I think I've cracked the story, honestly. Number 1. So when Soa was falling from the top of the building in the 3rd episode, she kind of like cut her hand and she lost a little bit of blood. And I think that blood is combined with, her wish to get Habaek to save her, or, somebody to save her, is what made Habaek kind of get his powers back temporarily. I think the magic actually resides within her blood. And the reason why I think this is because at the end of the 4th episode, when they're kind of lying down in this meadow, and she's like kind of wishing that they were, swimming at sea, and it almost seems like it's happening, but it's not happening. She's just like daydreaming or dreaming about it, and Habaek says he's sorry. Although at the moment it's not clarified why he's sorry. I'm assuming he's sorry because he can't make that happen for her yet. And that must be because she didn't lose any blood. And 2, I am really liking the CEO character more and more. And I think he may not actually be totally human. Now, I don't know if he's a god or like, a lesser god or whatever. Maybe he's like a hybrid between gods and humans, who knows? But his repeated comments about like humans and their sense of humor, which he just absolutely doesn't get, makes me think that. Number 3. Now, moo-ra is really quite adamant about not giving Habaek her stone, but she seems really distressed about it, which is why she keeps calling Bi Ryum. That makes me think that he might actually be an opposing force to Habaek, and he might want to become the emperor of all the gods. That's a prediction. I have a feeling that's most likely true. And number 4, the chick who kind of humiliated Soa at the reunion, Shimjaya. At the moment, we've only seen her as like a really pathetic character, and she seems to hate the CEO. But I think her role in this drama might become significant, maybe not in the near future, given the like painfully slow pace of this drama, but maybe in the later future, because I think in that third episode when Habaek kind of meets her, he's like, your last name isn't Shim, is it? It actually is. So maybe she might become more significant. Plus, we keep seeing her, and so far it doesn't seem as though she has a purpose to this drama except for constantly throwing tantrums, which really are not cute or funny. So it's not even like she's there for comedy. I think she might become significant at some other point. So overall, the fourth episode gets a 4 out of 10 for me. The plot is not thickening at all. The pace is too slow, and although we've seen more about Soa's, background in this episode, and we kind of get to know why she's reluctant to help people, even though her conscience is constantly telling her to. It's because her father treated her more poorly, if not the same as the orphans he used to raise alongside her. Actually, what I'm most curious about is what happened to her father. Now, I was speaking to one of my Korean friends who's also watching this drama, and together we kind of came to this not conclusion, but I guess hypothesis, that maybe Bi Ryum and moo-ra kidnapped him when he went away, to volunteer abroad. And they did it on purpose to make sure that Habaek would not have his guide when he came. And that would also align with the fact that when Soa introduces herself as Habaek's guardian to moo-ra, when they first encounter each other, she's like, what the fuck? I don't know, that's what I think is gonna happen. I don't know. But I'm really curious to know what's gonna happen to him. I think that's what I'm most curious about so far in the series. And I also want to know what the role of the CEO is gonna be. Now, I'm assuming by the next episode, we're gonna get a better understanding of Bi Ryum's character. I hope that will truly elevate the drama, because so far it's extremely bland. It's not bad, it's just too slow and just not entertaining enough for me. Also, I think the chemistry between joo-hyuk and se-kyung is quite lacking, at least for me. And I'm not just saying that because of, weightlifting fairy Kim Bok-ju. I didn't even think that their chemistry was that great, to be honest, even though, everybody knows that they're a couple in real life. Anyway, okay, so I'm really keen to watch the next 2 episodes. I hope the pace picks up, and please tell me what you think will happen in the next 2 episodes, as long as you don't post any spoilers, I beg you. If you have already watched the next few episodes, or if you've read the manga, you know what's gonna happen. Don't spoil it for us. And if you don't, and if you just want us to leave your predictions, I would love to read them, definitely. Thank you for watching and listening to this. I would be so grateful if you could subscribe, because I'm trying really hard to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of October 2017, and also it will give me motivation to keep reviewing this series and giving you my predictions and stuff. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye! Peace! I'm Nandini 3D, and I'm signing out. Bye bye!